Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. On October 26, 2025, Japan stunned the world by freezing all trade with the United States. This unprecedented move is a direct response to President Trump's refusal to lift tariffs on Japanese goods. For decades, the US and Japan have been economic partners, but that relationship has now come to a sudden halt. The Japanese government declared trade will not resume until all US tariffs are removed. This marks a dramatic escalation in tensions that have been building for months. The flow of goods, cars, electronics, agricultural products has stopped. Japan's decision signals a new, more assertive foreign policy, willing to risk confrontation to defend its interests. President Trump's protectionist measures, especially tariffs on Japanese products, have been a major point of contention. Japan has repeatedly called these tariffs unfair, but their appeals have been ignored. The freeze is the culmination of months of frustration and a fundamental disagreement over free and fair trade. For Japan, the tariffs are not just economic, they're an affront to a long-standing partnership. By halting trade, Japan is sending a powerful message. The economic pain from tariffs is now intolerable. It's a high-stakes gamble, betting that the US will reconsider before a damaging trade war spirals further. At the heart of this crisis is a massive deal struck just months ago. In July 2025, Japan pledged to invest $440 billion, over $550 billion, in US projects, hoping to secure lower tariffs. In exchange, the US agreed to reduce tariffs, but with a catch: Washington would control how and where Japan's money was spent. This gave the US unprecedented leverage over Japan's economy, raising concerns in Tokyo. The deal was seen as a painful but necessary concession to protect Japan's export-driven industries. For President Trump, it was a signature achievement, proof of his America First approach. For Japan, it was a bitter pill, but the price of stability and access to the US market. Now, with trade frozen and tariffs still in place, the entire investment deal is in jeopardy. Japan cannot justify sending hundreds of billions abroad while its own exporters are penalized. The freeze puts this historic investment on ice. What was meant to prevent a crisis has become its biggest casualty. The deal now stands as a symbol of failed economic diplomacy. Both sides are left questioning the future of their economic relationship. The trade freeze is already sending shockwaves through both economies. American consumers face shortages and higher prices, especially for Japanese cars and electronics. US factories, reliant on Japanese machinery and components, risk production slowdowns and job losses. American farmers and energy producers lose a vital export market, hitting rural communities hard. For Japan, the pain is just as severe. Its export-driven economy is losing access to one of its largest markets, threatening corporate profits and jobs. Major Japanese firms in autos and electronics are bracing for revenue drops and possible layoffs. The Nikkei stock index has already tumbled, reflecting investor anxiety. Decades of tightly woven supply chains are unraveling, creating logistical nightmares for businesses on both sides. A Japanese car in America might contain US-made parts. An American plane might use Japanese electronics. The longer the freeze lasts, the deeper the damage to both nations. The economic fabric binding the US and Japan is being torn apart. Japan's trade freeze is a calculated response to deep frustration with US policy. Many in Tokyo believe President Trump's view of Japan is stuck in the 1980s, ignoring today's reality of partnership and shared interests. Japan is no longer a rival, but a key ally and investor in the US economy. Trump's tariffs treat Japan as a competitor, undermining decades of cooperation. The July deal, especially the US control over Japanese investment, was deeply unpopular in Japan. When Trump kept tariffs in place, it became politically impossible for Japan to continue conceding. Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi faced mounting pressure from industry and the public to push back. The freeze is an act of political self-preservation and a message. Japan will no longer accept unfair terms. It's a high-risk move, but one that asserts Japan's resolve. Tokyo is signaling it won't be bullied into one-sided deals any longer. As the US-Japan dispute escalates, President Trump is pivoting elsewhere in Asia. At the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur, the US has signed new trade deals with Malaysia, Cambodia, and a framework pact with Thailand. These agreements promise greater market access for US goods and major purchase commitments, especially from Thailand. Meanwhile, tensions with China are easing. The US has agreed to delay a major tariff hike, while China will defer export curbs and buy more American farm products. Trump's strategy is clear: use high-pressure tactics to extract big concessions, even if it means risking old alliances. The administration is prioritizing headline deals over long-term stability. The result is a more volatile and unpredictable economic landscape in the Indo-Pacific. The US is building new partnerships, even as it risks alienating a key ally. The world is watching to see if this gamble pays off or backfires. This crisis is shaped by a handful of powerful figures. President Trump's America First approach and aggressive negotiating style are at the center of the conflict. He personally negotiated the July deal and imposed the tariffs that triggered Japan's freeze. On the Japanese side, Ryosei Akazawa, the former chief negotiator, agreed to the controversial investment pledge. His compromise was seen as necessary, but now his legacy is tied to a failed deal. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, now leading Japan, made the bold decision to halt trade, signaling a tougher stance. She must now manage the fallout and seek a path forward. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is a key negotiator, involved in talks with both Japan and China. He faces the challenge of balancing Trump's directives with the need to limit economic damage. The decisions of these leaders will determine whether the crisis deepens or a solution is found. With trade frozen, the future of US-Japan relations is more uncertain than ever. Both sides face immense pressure to resolve the crisis quickly. A return to negotiations is possible if the economic pain becomes too great. The US might offer to phase out tariffs in exchange for a revised investment pledge. But Trump could also escalate, risking a full-blown trade war. A prolonged conflict would damage not just economies, but decades of diplomatic trust. Japan may seek new partners, reducing its reliance on the US. This crisis exposes the fragility of alliances in an era of economic nationalism. The world is watching. Will these allies step back from the brink or slide into deeper confrontation? The next moves will shape the future of the Indo-Pacific and the global order.